100%, you're going to see cybersecurity elements in AI without a doubt. It's going to make cybersecurity more effective and predictable, in my opinion. So I think a lot of Gen X and baby boomers and that generation that lived through it, they equated nuclear bombs to nuclear reactors as being bad. There's just so many platforms out there now for AI and marketing, meaning a marketing director may have 2 or 3 assistants helping them with emails and client contacts and setting meetings and things of that nature. Right now I'm seeing a lot of those marketing directors try to use AI to automate all that messaging and maybe pare down their assistants to 1 or 2 instead of 3 or 4.
This is Futurist Valley Podcast, and in this episode our guest John Rainey and host Sarah Peracha will be discussing the rise of AI in marketing, why data is the new currency.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Futurist Valley. I am your host Sarah Peracha, and today we are diving into the fascinating world of AI in marketing as technology continues to reshape industry. Data has emerged as the driving force behind the modern marketing strategies. AI is now the engine that powers how brands understand, engage, and convert with the audience. And today I'm joined by an expert at the forefront of this transformation, John Rainey. John is a veteran, served in the US Army. He is the VP of partnerships at Miller Media 7 with a deep background in websites, mobile apps, digital marketing, and artificial intelligence, and also served as a startup judge, helping to shape the future of the tech innovations. John, thank you for joining us today. With your vast experience in digital marketing and AI, we are excited to hear your insights on how AI is transforming marketing and why data is the new currency. So let's see what John has to say. Hey, John.
Hey, how you doing, Sarah? Thanks for having me on today. I really do appreciate the invite.
Can you start by giving us a brief overview of how AI has evolved in the marketing world?
Sure. I think it's really early days for AI and marketing. I think there's a lot of experiential growth going on. I think there's a lot of what is this? What should we do with it? How is it going to make our time more efficient? There's just so many platforms out there now for AI and marketing. If you go to the platform, there's an AI for that. Almost daily, you're seeing new AI platforms coming out, helping you automate one aspect of marketing or another. I think that it's really growing in 2 ways, or I think it's advancing in 2 ways. I think marketing companies and marketing departments are using it to replace assistants, meaning a marketing director may have 2 or 3 assistants helping them with emails and client contacts and setting meetings and things of that nature. Right now I'm seeing a lot of those marketing directors try to use AI to automate all that messaging and maybe pare down their assistants to 1 or 2 instead of 3 or 4. So we're seeing a lot of that in the market, and then we're seeing a lot of newer, smaller marketing companies using kind of over relying on some of these AI marketing tools where you set it and forget it, and they're losing kind of that customer touch that I think is really, really important. So I think there's a balance to be struck as we explore how AI is progressing in marketing. I think it's good not to be too quick to use a lot of these set it and forget it types of AI marketing platforms. You still need to really keep in touch with the client. You still need to change out creative. and you really need that human element to help you kind of get that 9 yards, that last mile to the client, if that makes sense.
Awesome, awesome. So, how is AI currently being utilized in digital marketing strategies, and what do you see as the key benefits of this?
Yeah, so that's a big question right there. Right now, I think the key benefits for businesses, a lot of businesses are just surrounded by this cumbersome IT. Um, and it's been that way for years. They've got this bloated CRM, this giant HubSpot or Salesforce CRM that holds a lot of data, and not a lot is really being done that's actionable out of it. There's a lot of data gaps. There's a lot of dirty data. There's no master data management, especially in companies that are, in revenue of like 100 million or more per year. We really see this as a glaring issue. And then there's no real expert advice on what to do with the data. So I think right now, what I'm seeing is I think the key benefits for businesses is to leverage AI to make sense of their data, right? There's a lot that they can do to, especially with data visualization tools and with algorithmic data, to pair through a lot of their data, maybe even containerize it in the generative chat GPT type of environment. Imagine that. Imagine having 20 years of sales data. You're taking data from your CRM, your Microsoft Word notes, your PowerPoint presentations, YouTube videos. You can take Excel spreadsheets. You can take all that data and you can containerize it into your own maybe small language model within your company. And then you can have the salespeople query it from the bottom, and you can have the C-suite maybe query that data from the top, and you can come up with some pretty interesting, actionable insights. The bottom line is companies right now are struggling to find new business. New business development is hard. So what they can do is use that data to find who their best customers are using Pareto's 80/20 rule, right? In business, generally 80% of your revenue is coming from 20% of your clients. You can use that data to find out who historically that 20% of clients are and mine them for more business, and to resurrect old clients that you may not be servicing anymore. So I think that's the way that I see a lot of companies, smart companies anyway, trying to look at how to leverage AI in marketing and with data.
Hmm. So it means that there is a strong persona of AI in the data side of marketing as well. So what do you think, like how far it will go in the next few years, especially by 2030? Like how much you as a marketer will be depending on AI generated data? Like it will be 100% gig at that time, or you will be also then trusting some of the humans as well to just generate and recheck the data of AI, generated by AI.
Well, I think it's going to just become increasingly more and more important. And I think again, the companies that are more nimble in their thinking and that don't have siloed, decision-making centers are going to be the ones that are going to step up and continue to use this data in everyday decision making. You're of course going to have companies, and I'm dealing with this now in more traditional industries, that it's just going to be a big culture shift for them to do that.
Okay, I have a question around like, is AI literally enhancing the customer experience, especially in the terms of personalization, like personalizing the data and terminologies like for the content and copywriting? Is it really working fine with it, or is there something else that you wanted to add about it, like how AI is performing according to you right now in your niche marketing, most specifically?
That's a great question. What I'm seeing out there are that, yeah, I think if you can leverage AI to personalize your outreach to your customer, it is more effective. There's certainly an element to a consumer, or whether it's a B2B or B2C play, receiving some sort of personalized message or communique. That is definitely a step up over, your email marketing drip campaigns that are sending out, the same content with a different header, name on the header, to 40,000 people. Um, One thing's extremely clear with email marketing. I mean, in 2020, there was 50 billion less emails going out. Today, there are 50 billion more emails going out to consumers and businesses than there were in 2020. It's a lot of clutter to cut through, and anything that you can do with AI to personalize those messages, I think, it is good. I think the jury's out as to how well it's working right now. It's still early days, but I have seen some interesting results.
Wow, awesome. Uh, there are so many AI tools in the market, as you know. So, which are the AI tools you are currently using? This is going to be a really, good kick for this podcast right now, so because everybody must be willing to know about it, that what kind of AI tools you are using right now, and you wanted to refer to other marketers, the new marketers and other marketers for 2024 and 2025 as well. Which AI tools you trust and you are using currently?
Yeah, I see a lot of really interesting. Yeah, there's communication tools, and I'm not extremely familiar with a lot of those. I'm kind of talking to a lot of my fellow marketing people that are using them. Again, this is in the vein of getting messages out, coordinating meetings. One of them is called DealPad, that you probably saw as a judge. There's a lot of platforms out there like that. One's called Sales AI. It's kind of a competitive deal pad, and it's kind of a marketing and sales type of platform. Um, I like Dolly a lot, and I like Gamma. Dolly is just a great way for non-artistic people like myself to generate quick images, and kind of using that in conjunction with Chat GPT to draw an outline, and then Gamma to throw it, make a nice presentation out of it for marketing purposes. Those tools are invaluable. I don't know about you, but I hated doing PowerPoint presentations. They were tedious. It just, I could be out selling. I always felt like, why am I wasting my time, putting together this presentation? And now I don't have to. It's just probably one of the most time-saving methods and tools I've found out, in the world of AI so far.
Okay, so there is a question jumping into my mind right now. It's something out of the context, but I would like to ask you about it. Because recently, as you might have seen as well, that we are seeing that AI can speak now. So now, not only we are just, getting their text replies, they can also speak back to us and, just casually start talking with us and take the task from us. How do you rate it as, like, do you like more humanized touch into it? Like, as they are getting more humanized, they now have the voice. They might be having a face in the coming future. So how do you rate it? Like, is it something really worthy according to you, or you wanted to just keep it as like a text one? What would be your stance on it? Having the voice of the AI. How do you rate it? Like, is it something cool according to you? Is it something worthy for the businesses and marketing? What would you say about it?
So using audio AI, it's coming. It's definitely coming. There is, oh, I forgot which platform it was. I was just looking at it yesterday, where I think it might be on Gamma. Gamma might have this ability now where let's say you create your PowerPoint presentation, and it will give you the option to transcribe the entire presentation into a podcast, and you can pick the voices, and the voices are scary, scary, realistic. I mean,
Oh
it's
my God.
professional. It's very, very good. It's frightening how good it is. So now not only can I sit there and create my PowerPoint presentation, I can then, boom, within 30 seconds, it will create a podcast out of it that I can then post on on Spotify or other networks under my name. It's not unlike this phenomenon I'm seeing of musicians creating AI musicians on Spotify, completely fabricated AI music and musicians, but these are podcasts. The other AI voice component that I find compelling, I was just looking at yesterday, sales AI is for cold calling. That has to come back. I mean, cold calling and marketing is a lost art. Over the pandemic, it fell out of fashion because people were stuck at home and nobody wanted to get their cell phones assaulted during a stressful time. But now that that's all passed, and email marketing has become incredibly ineffective due to what we talked about earlier. Yeah, I think AI cold calling and AI cold calling agents are definitely making strides, and I've been very impressed so far with the demonstrations I've been receiving.
Cool. Cool. So I was recently, for me, if because my next question is about your success stories of AI. So I just wanted to add my side of it. Like I have recently used active pieces and that automation flow, like automating even the Twitter tweets and everything is like, you can tweet around 100 or 1,000 times a day without having or without hustling hard. So that is a success story for me for AI. I can create a lot more content around it and with the help of it, completely with the help of it, just by creating the automation flow correctly. What is your success story and what was your return on investment according to you? Just, incorporating with the AI in your marketing strategies or marketing this.
Yeah, so I don't do the marketing at our company. I deal more with the software engineering sales.
Mhm.
Our VP of media is very old school, and he has been leveraging AI again for art and creative content and creation. And we're honestly still in the exploratory phase of being very careful what we do with AI and marketing because we're actually getting clients from a lot of these younger companies who are just over leveraging AI with these set it and forget it campaigns and not communicating with the clients. That is becoming an actual problem. So we've been kind of very careful, but we have been using ChatGPT. Like I said, we've been using Dolly, we've been using Gamma. But I don't know if I could really honestly say I've got like a big outstanding success story yet. We've been working with AI pretty intensely now for like most people, 11 months. And I think we're kind of still waiting to see how we leverage that in certain campaigns to see what the real success is. I think, I am working with one of my clients, kind of leveraging this 80/20 rule with data AI. I think, and I suspect that's going to be our first big success in the next coming months. And that's going to be a campaign that we're going to see a return on investment that's going to be pretty interesting. Once you can provide a sales department, you can empower salespeople with the data they need. You can identify your top customers. You can win back lost customers. You can grow your wallet share and filter prospects on best insights. You can adopt new sales and pricing models. That's you can see some significant return on investment, and that's what I'm working on right now.
Awesome, awesome. As you said that you are mostly involved with the software engineers and nowadays within your company. So, how do you see it? Like what would be the future of AI in software engineering and marketing and data, divided around these
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think with software engineering, you know, everybody, and I'm sure, I want to ask you, I'm sure you've noticed that with Claude and with ChatGPT, the engines have become a little bit lazy lately. I don't know if you've noticed that, but we sure have, where
Yeah.
the output just isn't as snappy and smart. It's lazy, and the only reason for that is because Anthropic and Google and OpenAI and the other various large language models, the price to compute is very, very expensive. So they ratchet down the computing power, which dumbs the models down. Uh, so that I think that's an issue. Having said that, I talked to one of my competitors yesterday that just replaced all of his software engineers because he's using Claude to code. Now, it's only as good as a junior engineer, and he has to do a lot of you know, commenting and annotating that code. He has to go through it and talk to Claude and work with them. But he said it's really no different than working with a junior software engineer. Now, if that's your business model, which it's not ours, I think AI for software engineering might be able to save you some time and money. Our business model is all enterprise level development, and we only hire senior level engineers to work lean and get through that. We have started using software. We have started using it for some of our software engineering coding, but we've been much more careful about how we use it and which clients we leverage that with, because we're typically serving Fortune 2000 clients. But like I said, it is coming. It's, my friend who replaced all of his software engineers, he runs his company out of Puerto Rico, and his engineers were he had quite a few of them, and he is now it's just him and Claude. So it that is coming, but I think it has a long way to go as far as kind of, and I don't think it's ever going to replace software engineers. I think it's just going to, at the end of the day, make them more efficient.
Yeah, I was also checking last day over the chat GPT, and they were also giving me the option to to have the chat GPT as my own product manager. So it's like they are going to do it like a human. So it was quite, I was just wondering that how soon they can replace it as completely like human workforce. What do you think about it? Like how soon it will be? Like as you have already shared that there is a friend of yours has already done it. But obviously you know that it's like a junior developer for when it comes to the software engineering and thing. So do you think that is it quite close for to us right now that AI can replace humans more effectively, or does it have some of the years left, like maybe a decade, to get it done and get it to be on that place that now we will not needed any human, and it will be more intellectual than us?
I don't see that happening for at least 10 years. I think we're 5 years away from the singularity. And the singularity I'm talking about is quantum computing and AI joining forces. But it's going to take some years after that before those methodologies are perfected. In the interim, I think you're spot on. I think it's going to impact junior developers, and it's going to impact people who are performing the job of an assistant, um, which is kind of sad in a way because there are so many people overseas who are employed as assistants to people in the Western world. There's a lot, people in the Philippines and whatnot. That's the way they make their money. But unfortunately, I see AI replacing a lot of those individuals um, on a task by task basis. There's always going to be an element of society that's just not going to adopt AI and will want to work with human beings as well. So I don't see this as something in its totality. I see it something in the Fortune 5,000, Fortune 2,000 realm.
With algorithm getting smarter, how can we ensure that AI marketing remains unbiased and inclusive?
Yeah, that's a good one too. So as we all know, AI has been accused of being racist, and I think institutionally it is because those large language models are all culled out of our brains and what we wrote. I live near the Washington, D.C. area, and I've been communicating with a young lady who's working on a grant with I forget which department. I think it's the General Accounting Office or something about how AI is discriminatory. Can we get rid of that discrimination? Sure. I think it can be called out. I think it's going to take a long time. I think you can still go to a lot, Chat GPT or Claude, and if you ask it to render you an image of somebody washing dishes in a restaurant or somebody cleaning a building or something along that, it's always going to show you a minority. And so in that vein, it has a long way to go.
Yeah, you have already shared that it has around like a decade maybe, right?
Yeah, that's uh, 5 years to a decade. Again, in 5 years, the country that gets to quantum computing the fastest, and I think quantum computing is going to take AI into it. It's going to be a bigger shock than a lot of people think. Um, I think there's going to be a lot of interesting aspects to that we just haven't uncovered yet. And it'll be exciting and probably scary. But
Cool.
I think it's gonna, realistically, I think that's 10 years away, what you're talking about altogether.
Okay. So for marketers and even software engineering companies looking to adopt AI, what advice would you give to ensure a smooth and successful integration?
Baby steps, um, crawl, walk, run. Don't rush into these AI platforms as some sort of panacea to all of your marketing woes, and test them gingerly, and on small groups first, and get that feedback, and then incrementally, step up your game with the various platforms. But also be careful what you're feeding into them, and read who has rights to that information, and who, if you lose rights to the data you're feeding into these platforms, make sure they're secure. Make sure you talk to the owners and the people running it. Make sure you know where they're being hosted. A lot of people just don't do this type of investigation. And for example, I'll tell you a quick relay, just a very quick story. Back when the iTunes store opened, I was getting inundated with people wanting me to build their apps or work on their apps. And back then, there was a good amount of fraud going on where um, people just didn't know better. They wanted to build an app, and they meet an app developer, and they just don't realize the administrative things that you have to go through with Apple to register your account, register your app. So what I was seeing was a lot of developers uh, using their development account with Apple, uploading their clients' apps, and then basically stealing them and taking them over. And in one such instance, I had a client who had a suite of apps in the tutorial business, the college and high school test tutorials. They would help you get through SATs and MSATs and various tests, math, chemistry, you name it. This individual developer stole her code. She didn't realize that she should have had her own account with Apple. He moved to Brazil and was getting all of her cash. Lucky for her, her brother was a federal judge in New Jersey, and they actually tracked the kid down in Sao Paulo and extradited him to New Jersey and got all of that back. But that's very, very, very seldom that happens. So when you're working with these new AI platforms, you need to do your due diligence and make sure that leadership and they're not being run by anyone who doesn't have the highest of integrity.
I really wanted to focus on this topic right now as you are sharing it about security, how we can ensure it. Because I think you are the right person to tell us, even though if we are not the marketer, we are not the engineer, how we can ensure it that it's secure to share our data. What things can make it, an insurement for us that it is secure?
So there are, it's $1 million question, Sarah. That is a really, really, really big issue these days. I don't know if there is an easy answer to that. It is by far, first thing you should do, and I know this is a big pain in the rear for a lot of companies, but I think a smart company needs to be SOC 2 certified, um, to just at the very least to begin to protect your data. As far as working with these AI platforms and AI companies, That's why I said you need to vet them, because if you're turning over your data into their servers, and it's churning, and I've seen this back in the app days, many times, um, where you're paying these guys, but you don't really know where they're at, and next thing you know, your company is absolutely reliant on their systems, and then they go out of business and there's no communication. Um, how many SaaS-based companies that my clients have got subscriptions to and become totally reliant on, and then they just shut down overnight. I've story after story after story over the last 25 years of that happening. So that's a big danger that I don't know, other than having a good lawyer and always keeping a repository of that data, a mirror copy of it if you can, in your own protected server, is really the best answer I can give you. Quantum computing, when that comes online, it's going to shatter all those precautions that you took, but by then there'll be companies with quantum encryption out that you should have already um, be utilizing.
Yeah, I have also seen a lot more Hollywood movies around it. I think the web was quite famous that how somebody, replicated the identity of some person. I think this is the exact time right now that people can easily replicate the identity if they get the access of our, for example, our ChatGPT. Cause like, even if I talk about myself, it's trained to be as Sarah. So I think it will be also same for you or your developers that they have also trained something to be their own self, right? To answer something, to get the code as like a software engineer. So is there a possibility right now that people can easily, the hackers especially can easily get into the data and replicate the self rather than just the company who has or hold the data of ours with the agreement. Of course, we agree with the terms and conditions. So do you think it is easy for hackers to hack it out, all of the data around it, and
To,
just
to, cre-
replicate the
to
person?
create You mean to create deep fakes and things like
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
They don't need to hack into anything, Sarah. They just need to go to LinkedIn and YouTube and look at your online content and listen to your voice and download that. There's nothing you need to hack into to make a deep fake. Your data is out there. I mean, both of our data is sitting somewhere in the dark web right now. There's a huge AI email scam going around right now in the United States, and other parts of the world, where they're sending emails that they've been able to, the email will say something threatening that you're doing something illegal that you're not doing. And then on the email is a picture of your car in your driveway. That's actually your car in your driveway because they got them off the Google Maps. They coordinated you with your email address with your physical address, and coordinated, going to Google Maps and then taking that front picture of your house with your car. And that scam, towards aimed towards people who are 65 and older, is making them money, and it's completely false. But they don't need to hack into anything really, because we have so much stuff out there on the web already that they can utilize.
Okay, cool. So, I'm
Didn't
also
mean didn't
having
mean to
an
be scary, but it's
okay, this is extremely scary. But I just wanted to know, like, even for startups and small businesses, do they really have to take it more seriously, especially the security part which you have just shared with us, even before this last question? So, do you think that they need to have a security person, who has the experience to check that information or read all of those agreements and talk with those companies, or they should take the decision by themselves, as obviously they are small businesses, how they can easily plan it out, because you have the more experience than them, then how you would like to advise them?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I think it's a lot of simple stuff that we all forget to do with small companies. I don't think you necessarily need a CISO, Chief Information Security Officer at a small company, because like you said, that's kind of, a lot of people get priced out. There's fractional people that you can hire. For instance, there's in the fractional world, you had a lot of people who retired during the pandemic only to find out they didn't want to retire. And a lot of those folks have gone into fractional work, and some of them are security officers. So that's an option right there. Another option is just you can use AI and you can Google up your own company security plan, stuff like making sure your employees change their password every 30 days. And I'm guilty of that myself. Just a couple Sundays ago, my CEO emailed me or Slacked me in the evening and said, "Hey, you need to go change your password. Someone's trying to hack in your account." And I looked at that and I was like, "Oh, huh." And I'm like, I wonder if my Slack is being hacked and this is a scammer telling me to go in and change my password so then they can really hack into my email, because you've heard about the Slack hack that happened over at what was it, Microsoft or I forget, Apple, who had the Slack hack lately. So I went over I got my phone out and I texted my boss via phone and said, "Did you just send me a Slack message about my password?" He said, "Yes, I indeed did." And I went and changed it. And yeah, someone had got like 4 or 5 characters of my password right. But that's because I hadn't changed my password in a year. Change your passwords every 6 months or 3 months. That's something that SOC 2 certification forces you to do. And to go through SOC 2 certification is expensive and kind of cumbersome. So that's not always an option for small companies. But having a standard operating procedure and holding your employees accountable to it is possible. And it's just a matter of doing that. It's a matter of discipline.
Yeah, it is. I think these platforms also need to remind us every time, every 2 or 3 months to, just change it out because it's getting really crucial. I have been tried to be hacked twice in these last 2 months over the LinkedIn, and that was quite serious because I have quite a strong personality over LinkedIn, so it was a quite huge thing for me. So
You've been
it
hacked
was
twice in 2 months
n-
on LinkedIn?
not hacked twice. They tried it to like I think in today's morning at my side, somebody was trying to log in from the capital of my country. So it was like
Uh,
obviously it's not me. So they just blocked it out some way because I had the two-factor verification on. But it's still it is a fear, that somebody can easily get it out somehow. So it is something which makes me worry. So obviously, I think the platforms also need to have some sort of reminders to change it out every time when they are seeing a lot more data is uploaded of our passwords online, especially on the black web. There is a question running into my mind about the data and marketing and software engineering kind of thing. How far you trust AI generated data that it is accurate right now, currently? How far you judge it? Like, is it 100%, 50%? How do you trust it more?
Oh, that's a moving target of a question that we were talking about yesterday evening on my weekly AI call. It's it's not great. And again, I that's kind of why I was saying I think, you know, AI is still a ways away from kind of taking over people's jobs. As we were talking about earlier in the conversation, it is very clear Claude and ChatGPT, they've reduced their computing power. So the data outputs actually become worse and less effective and less accurate. So if I was to put a percentage on it, I think it depends on what your application is to it. It's I think it's probably 70% accurate in most cases. But again, that's maybe with writing. I think if you're using it for other applications, especially like generating spreadsheets, I know there's a couple really great AI platforms to generate spreadsheets, and that was another bane of my existence. I hated spreadsheets. I couldn't stand them. And I've messed around with these spreadsheet AI platforms, and they're great and time saving, but you really have to be careful about reviewing the data that it outputs.
Awesome. I'm again shifting my mind towards the another question because it just came into my mind because we normally talk about cybersecurity. Is it going to be AI security in the coming future? Like the way cybersecurity, I like the way we are serious about the cybersecurity. Is it AI security going to lead? the cybersecurity in the coming future?
I think it already is, and I'm already seeing cybersecurity companies around. I'm in the Washington, Baltimore area, so there is an overwhelming plethora of cybersecurity companies working for three-letter agencies around me that are definitely integrating AI into their platforms, and they're all doing it with the intent of getting ready for the quantum singularity that's coming. To answer your question, 100%, you're going to see cybersecurity elements in AI without a doubt. It's going to make cybersecurity more effective and predictable, in my opinion. And it's hopefully going to make it more efficient and reactionary when there is a hack, be able to shut that hack down faster.
Now I'm going to ask you one question in three different ways to cover up all of these three categories. So the first one is, what future trend you are seeing in AI and software engineering?
Future trends, I think getting back to the problem with Anthropic and ChatGPT and Claude becoming less accurate. I think the future of it is really going to be honestly in energy development. I think the U.S. government and a lot of governments around the world need to understand that nuclear power is safe and its time has come. I think with small nuclear power plants powering these data centers, the future of AI is going to be provide those data centers with more power, the power they need to compute, the power they need to process. Because right now that's the bottleneck. That is the issue in with AI. But I'm also seeing, I think the future is small language models. I'm seeing a lot of companies creating their own containerized small language models just for their AI, which will be powered by their own servers. So I think that's a big future of AI as well as it getting ready for the quantum singularity.
Yeah, as we are talking about this one, I just wanted to know your perspective that how, as you are talking about the computing and the generation system, how it will be more sustainable or eco-friendly. But as we will be using and depending more on the AI, it means that we will be having more computers or, the data system, the big ones. Is it going to be more easier for us to make it more sustainable?
I think if we rely on things like nuclear power, solar, wind, we're not going to do it through coal-fired power plants, and that's just not sustainable. And I think back in the 1960s and 70s and 80s, when nuclear was a monster, it was all in the vein of Three Mile Island. I lived through the Three Mile Island, incident, and it really scared a lot of people. And I was in elementary school during that time, and it scared me. But we have to remember during those days it was the Cold War, so I think a lot of Gen X and baby boomers and that generation that lived through it, they equated nuclear bombs to nuclear reactors as being bad. The Cold War is over. Nuclear weapons are still with us. The threat is still with us, but nuclear power has largely been set in the back burner for coal, and we've all seen what the outcome of that is. The outcome has been a disaster for the environment. So I think the sustainability has to be in small nuclear reactors that can be, I've seen plans for data centers the size of a McDonald's. And I think that's what you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of these data centers, if they're not on some sort of nuclear power grid, they're going to make them small and put them in smaller to mid-level cities and towns throughout the US and around the world because it's just going to be easier on the power grid and it'll be more sustainable.
Right, right, right. What future trends in AI you are seeing for marketing and data? Now I'm jumping towards marketing and data.
So yeah, I'm working on one for marketing and data. And again, um, you know, I'm going back to that 80/20 rule of marketing and data. You want to obliterate all these barriers of isolated data. That's first and foremost. I think where I want to see this going, and I am seeing it going. You want to get customer insights that might be from 10, 15 years ago with your data that are extraordinary, that are actionable. Um, there are ways with AI that we're going to be able to take every piece of invaluable data in a company and seamlessly connect it and elevate it to, almost an X-ray level that you can get more clarity and accessibility into your data. Um, you know, Again, I think data as a service is really where it's going to be. Data as a marketing service. Again, to automate the customer outreach, you want to identify your segment, target markets. You want to create actionable sales, marketing data sets, and you want all that with a company that can help you professionally implement it and coach you through it. I think that's going to be the real future that we're looking at.
Yeah. So in between the conversation, you also talk about that how dumb the AI modules are getting by the time because of the cost of the computing and the other systems. Do you trust that AI produced analytics are accurate right now? And if not, then how far it will be getting into that term to get, trusted by people like you or us? Uh, Another question is related to that one is this that if they will be increasing the price of AI in the coming future to make it more enhanced and intellectual?
So, I mean, going back to your first question, could you repeat that again for me, real quick?
Yeah, so I'm talking about like I was asking about the analytics. Like, do you as you have already mentioned that it is getting dumb by the time the
Oh,
AI is getting
gotcha.
dumb. So,
Right.
do you trust the analytics generated by the AI and how far it will be
I
trustworthy?
think if you containerize your analytical query, like one of my clients is doing, a company called Built Data, it's like it's BILT data.ai. And you're setting your own parameters and algorithms within the data. The analytics I've seen come out of that, coupled with visualization software, is excellent. It's very, very, very good. I think using a paid account on ChatGPT or Claude, the analytics are much more skewed. So you need to get a good data, AI data platform and play that is focused and not just rely on the large language models for data analytics and artificial intelligence.
And will be any price included if they will be making it more intellectual, more powerful or humanoid than the current humans right now? Will it be more expensive?
Will it become more intellectual? Sure, absolutely it will. Again, what we're probably going to see is, I think a lot of these, like OpenAI and ChatGPT will probably up their compute power, when we just had a rate cut, for instance. So they're all looking at their bottom line. They haven't been paying out to their investors yet. I think once they start seeing some sort of more positive cash flow, you're going to see an improvement on the compute power and you're going to see an improvement on the intellectual output that you're seeing from AI. But these large language models are just, it's a lot of dirty data. It's a lot of conflicting data that it's going through. And yeah, and yeah, that's a tough one. That's a real tough one, Sarah, because until those LLMs are kind of cleaned up, it's parsing through that data, you're always going to get something dirty. Whereas if you go with a more clean containerized specialty AI platform, for data analytics, it's going to be much more clean and much more intellectual.
Yeah, so it means that there is a lot more scope in, if you are coming into AI and some of creating these kind of AI modules, so it means there is a scope to make it more worthy for the audience, right? For the users like us.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think so. It's just, I think a lot of it, again, it's really going to hinge on where the investors are going with these larger, large language models, what their stomach is for continued investing, and that's going to have a trickle down effect on what the outputs, how effective the outputs are going to be.
Cool, cool, cool. Thank you so much, John. It's been a really great session with you, especially the learning session with you. And I have learned a lot from you today. I hope that our audience will also learn a lot from you today. I hope to connect with you again soon with some other, more about AI, marketing, engineering, and data. And hope that you will like to join us again.
Absolutely. And going back to your LinkedIn issue, I've had my LinkedIn account hacked as well and had they deleted my entire LinkedIn homepage. So yeah, change your passwords, people. Just try to
Thank
the
you.
note to change your passwords. I usually have a note every Friday, or once a month on Fridays to change passwords. And I've gotten out of that habit. So
Yeah. So as
thank
John
you.
said, we need to have it as a ball mark over our calendars every Friday to change our password.
Absolutely. Sarah, I really appreciate you having me on today, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hope to see you again soon. And until then, just wait for our next episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching it out.